Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We'll be doing something a little bit different today. We're going to do a review of the kayaks that I use to get out there and catch big smallmouth. Now, even though we're getting to the end of the season, this is a great time to get out and buy a new kayak. You can get a discount on previous year's models. You can pick up a demo boat at a greatly reduced price, or you can even get next year's models at a better price by pre-ordering. So all around, it's a great deal. Add on top of that, we're going into Black Friday, and Crescent is giving away free deck pad kits up till then with a purchase of a new boat through their dealers. Now, you installing those deck pad kits is how Crescent keeps their prices low. It's just a great deal. I do use Crescent Kayaks exclusively. That's because I am a paddler first, and when I do want the option to go power, that'll be there as well. So let's get on with these reviews and show you what I think and how I use these boats. Alright, this is my Crescent Shoalie and how I'd have it set up for a day on the river. Starting up front, we have the cam handle strap up here. What I've done is I have beefed this thing up. Now, it's originally designed to be strapped around you to pull up and down and through shallow water and just have your boat strapped to you. What I've done is I put that strap up a little higher because I'm dragging this thing up and down some big hills going into bridges. So when I'm launching there, I need as much strap as I can get. Coming down to the next part here, we have the rod saver and paddle park. Now you can use this to stage your rods during transit or use it as a paddle park on the water. Works great either way. And inside this front tank well, it is a sealed ankle. There's your gasket there. You notice there's plenty of room for batteries, clothing, anything you need for a day on the water. You can even put some rod storage in there if you'd like. However, what I'd end up using this for is access to the hull to run wiring for batteries, which I'd be storing up here to balance out that weight. Coming into the next part here, you have an integrated cell phone holder for taking selfies during the day, or you can use this area here to put your electronics, your fish finder, graphs and whatnot. And this here can be used to as a stand assist strap as well. Coming back, we have two gear tracks, which I usually just use rotor grips on here. Easy way to store your nets and paddles while you're dealing with fish. And then we also have an integrated measuring board, which easily, because it's recessed, takes that 26-inch catch board no problem. Coming back, these here would normally have rotor grips installed to hold your paddle while you're taking pictures or standing up in the kayak. Two cup holders, usually used to store baits and whatnot. Along the side here, two places to store tackle trays should you need to. Keeps them secured. Anything happens, you're not going to lose your gear. This seat is a high-low. Nice, easy to use system. Just secure it down with that strap running it through the seat. Nice and easy, nothing too fancy there. Notice that you have 2 points there to keep your rods nice and stable while you're moving between sticks and whatnot. Coming to the back here. These have been replaced on future models. This is an older one. They now have a short section of gear track there. However, if I was to redo it, I'd want some mighty mounts there myself. I just prefer them. I like how they set up and work. Come back a little further. This is a mounting point for a Boondocks landing gear. It's a set of wheels that allows you to move your kayak around a lot easier. Come back into another short section of gear tracks. I do find these are a bit further back than I prefer, but still easily accessible. I usually keep my holders at that 45-degree angle should I be going under trees and whatnot. Doesn't give me any problems. And again, another great tank well innovation back here. This short section of strap, you can strap all your gear down, so if you do roll over, you're not going to lose anything. See, that's one of the best things about this whole boat, is if you have it set up right and you're using everything, you're not going to lose your gear. That's a big deal, and something that's pretty important to a lot of anglers out there, especially those of us in moving water. Coming here, this hatch gives you access to the hull. That allows you to run your wires from your battery up front to your motor back here, which you see there's a nice clean motor mount. Drain offs here. These can also work as anchor channels here. and you can run a shallow water anchor off these points. See these little knobs here? This is where you'll be running your steering controls for foot control steering up front. It is set up for a motor. You can easily take one. Makes it a really great kayak for that. So as far as it goes for paddle or power, it can handle both. It is probably best kayak out there for that. All right, let's move on to the hull. All right, let's go over the hull on the Shoalie. Up front here, you're gonna notice a bulbous nose. This keeps us riding high in the water, gets us over waves, keeps it quiet, and it allows us to attain easily. As we move back, you're gonna see these two lines that run down the entire length. That gives you your pronounced keel, which helps you your tracking and keeps you running straight. Now, even though this does have the keel, it is not as pronounced as it is on other Crescents. That being said, it still holds the line incredibly well. If you look along the middle here, you're going to see a lot of holes. Only 3 of those are your scuppers. The other ones are all kiss-offs to provide deck stability and keep it from flexing. This is a very stable boat, and you can stand on it, although I do not that often because I look at smallmouth fishing more like hunting. I want to get into these areas and I don't want them going there, which is now another nice part of this. It is a very quiet kayak. Should you want to, there's your mounting point for your fish finder, and that's about it down here. That's it. Let's go on to the next boat. Well, I actually do use those for my water bottles more than anything else because I have these awesome little trays up here for storage. It is my favorite boat. If I could have only one Crescent, this would probably be it. My wife loves it. It's a great paddling boat and just fantastic. But coming back here, these are the mighty mounts that I talked about. I love this design feature. I can easily, if I want to, carry 4 rods with me if I'm doing tournament or something. I can do all 4 rods right off the back there, have them easy access, and still just go with the single bag I normally would. You'll notice there that it is a squared off stern. You can mount a trolling motor on here, just a simple trolling motor. You don't even have to get one of the expensive fancy ones. Get the extension on there and you'll be able to run a motor off this. Plenty of room for your battery and plenty of capacity for it. The only thing with the CK1 you got to remember is when it's not in use, make sure that drain plugs out. As the heat gets to this, it will expand and start popping bolts on it. But I just remind people every year, you'll see me put out a video normally, just make sure that when it's not in use, you do have that out of there. Alright, let's get to the bottom of this one, get a look at this hull. You're right there. Alright, let's take a look at the hull of the CK1. Now, again, that high volume front end. The only difference with this one is I find you get a little bit more hull slap off it when those waves start coming up to it. Going through, you're going to see that keel is a lot more pronounced. This one holds a line regardless of what you're doing, comes up to speed very quickly with this hull design. It's fast, it's nimble, it's stable. You can stand in it, I tend not to. Coming to the back, again, very, very pronounced keel here. This sits well in the water, very stable. The more weight you put in it, the better it gets. One thing I will say about this boat is it is a multi-use hull. If you are hunting, if you are fishing, if you are pleasure paddling, whatever you're doing, this hull can handle it. If you're going out camping, you can load it up and take it out. It is just that awesome everyday kayak. Highly recommended, comes at a great price, and you can't beat it. Right, let's get on to the next one. Alright, now you're looking at my Crescent Ultralite as I have it set up for chasing smallies. If you're under 225 pounds and don't carry a lot of gear with you, you're going to be hard pressed to find a better boat for chasing giant smallmouth on the river. As long as your water is fairly calm. It's also great on small lakes. It's honestly probably my favorite Crescent at the moment. Just the way it sets up, the way it paddles, the way it handles. It gets up to speed incredibly quick. It tracks at a straight line for a 10-foot boat. I think it's around 50 pounds, 55 pounds. Isn't that much to carry around. You can throw it around on top of the car pretty easy. It's just fantastic. If you're draining it in and out of places that you shouldn't be in, this one will handle that too. Let me take a look up here. We got a nice paddle park up here, very easy. Mix it with my roto grip there, and you get to the patch up front. I honestly don't use that. I'd almost prefer if this had a bit more wider nose and just scoop that out and give me more storage up there to throw the net or whatever I'd want to throughout the day. Very simple placement for this seat. No cup holders or anything, but you don't really need it. Keeps it nice and easy. Balancing's easy on this. Coming to the back. Those two mighty mounts that I like so much, they're back there. Tie downs just about everywhere back here. Nice section of gear track, easy to reach. Good tank well for storing everything you're going to need to. Like I said, a very simple boat, but very effective. It's incredibly quiet in the water, and if you're in wind, it handles that very well for one reason. I'm going to show you that in a second. And here we have the hull of the Ultralite. Now this one has a very defined keel, and that's what makes the track foot so straight for such a short boat. It's only 10 foot and change long. I think it's 10 foot 2. But this whole thing, it handles that so well. And you'll notice here again, you only have 2 actual scupper holes on here. One right there and one in the front. Everything else along here is kiss offs to keep that deck rigid and keep everything from flexing. Now along the sides here, very flat section here, giving you some primary stability. Not enough to stand, but enough to handle just about any fish you're going to take on in here. Front end here is nice and cuts well into the water. Overall, it sits low in the water, keeps a straight line, doesn't get affected by the wind that much. It's just a great hull design for fishing overall in rivers, small lakes. So it's probably one of my favorite. Doesn't cost a lot. It's just a great fishing boat. Highly recommended. If you're under 225, that weight capacity is going to hit fast on this, but it's well worth it if you're able to use it. Well, thanks for joining me today as I review the kayaks that I use to chase smallies up here in Ontario. And if you're in Canada and would like to get a hold of one, head over to Live Outside either online or in person. They're in Bracebridge, Ontario. Great little town to visit. And while you're there, they can set you up with everything you need to get on the water, even fishing gear that they carry now, which is pretty handy. Thanks to James, Drew, and the team at Crescent for putting out such great kayaks. And this is just scratching the surface. They have a lot of other great boats. One that I'd really like to see is the Primo. I think when that thing's fully outfitted, it could be the best throw and go kayak out there. They have big water kayaks, all kinds of tandem kayaks, everything you can need, including that new paddle skiff. That looks really good. That's about it, folks. See you next time. Thanks for coming along.